Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk.
Hey, I don't think you understand what's going on here. And this is one thing that people don't understand. The world is not afraid of Trump. I mean, damn, Americans are not even afraid of Trump. So what makes you think other presidential leaders are going to flinch at this old orange racist individual named Trump? So we all understand that actions have consequences for the good or for the worse, but you can't operate throughout this world in having some understanding of just basic logic that whatever you put into the universe is going to give you back. It's going to test you on whatever you're trying to put out there. So, for example, with Trump and these damn tariffs, it's going to have a repercussion for better or for worse. And for the people that know what they're talking about, that I've been watching hours upon hours of content, learning about tariffs, the historical context of it, and how that can, kind of play in the future here with whatever Trump is trying to do. Someone's going to catch the short end of that stick. It's not going to be like, we're not going to really be affected. We're not going to really, you could just live life and not really pay attention or understand what's going on in government. This has real world effects on real people like you and me. You can't like walk this earth in America and be like, what's a tariff? No, if Trump does what he wants to do and then other nations respond to us, you're going to understand. And like Phil DeFranco said, you may not mess with politics, but if Trump does what he wants to do, politics is going to mess with you. Easy. So just a few things that I noted here, just to kind of get an understanding, a real basic. If you want to learn more about it, I did videos about it, or just look it up. Jesus Christ, you have information at your fingertips. Look that joint up. But when it comes to simple tariffs, when it comes to vehicles and auto parts, Mexico is a major producer of cars, trucks, and auto components exported to the U.S., which is Ford, GM, and Toyota. Hey, those are pretty common cars throughout America. Once again, do you really want prices for any of those components to increase? I don't want to. Okay. Machinery and electrical equipment. This includes items like computers, telecommunication equipments, and industrial machinery, such as Apple, Dell, and Foxconn. Material fuels and oils. Mexico supplies crude oil and refined petroleum products to the U.S., and that affects businesses such as Chevron and ExxonMobil. We got agricultural products, fresh fruits such as avocados, berries, vegetables like tomatoes and peppers, and beverages such as beer and tequila, which you shouldn't be drinking, but okay, whatever, are significant imports, and that affects businesses such as Walmart's and Whole Foods, and manufactured goods such as plastics, medical instruments, and furniture, and that affects hospitals, IKEA, and Boeing, which Boeing, hey, that needs to be a whole conversation on its own. But when it comes to tariffs, that can mess with all kind of things. So let's take a listen on Mexico's president kind of responding to Trump's attempt at bullying, because it's kind of interesting.
In Houston for us now, Rosa, how is Mexico responding to what we're hearing from the incoming Trump administration about how they plan to crack down on the border and carry out these mass deportations?
Well, very sternly, as a matter of fact, Mexico's president held a press conference this morning in response to President-elect Donald Trump's threat to impose tariffs on Mexico, actually. But Jim, as you know, all of these things are intermingled. Mexico's president was very firm. She called out President-elect Donald Trump, saying that both Mexico and the United States collaborate on a lot of different levels, including economically. And in other words, she said that she's ready to respond in kind. Let me read to you a portion of that letter that she sent to President-elect Donald Trump. She said, quote, "President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will solve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Cooperation and shared understandings are required to face these important challenges. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response." I'm going to read that one more time because these are very important words from Mexico's president. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk.
Hey, I don't think you understand what's going on here. And this is one thing that that people don't understand. The world is not afraid of Trump. I mean, damn, Americans are not even afraid of Trump. So what makes you think other presidential leaders are going to flinch at this old orange racist individual named Trump? She ain't scared. She said, hey, that would mean another comes in response. They ain't playing. That's what I'm saying. Like, why are these Trump supporters thinking that Trump is just going to do what he want, say what he want, and not have the consequences? Do you not understand how that works? America doesn't run everything, which it shouldn't. But if a bully is trying to impose for X, Y, and Z reasons, I would just assume another country would respond into their own citizens' benefits and safety. So once again, I don't think Trump supporters understood or don't even understand what terrorists are in the first place. But in the second place, how that can trigger what they call, this tariff war. And Americans are already complaining that prices are too high. And that's why they, voted for Trump, because prices is too high. But he's going to go ahead and do something like this. How is that going to bring prices lower if we're in the middle of a tariff war that he's provoking himself? I mean, if you want to not be bullied at school, maybe you shouldn't be bullying people. I mean, like, it's just a really basic common sense type of conversation here that a lot of people are not having. Trump. So let's continue.
Now, the tone of this letter is very important because Mexico's president is not just talking about tariffs, about the economic relationship with the United States, but also the border relationship with the United States, because Mexico has done a lot to help the Biden administration control the migration that is coming into the U.S. southern border, which begs the question about what is happening on the U.S. southern border, given that Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming U.S. border czar, Tom Homan, are on the border today. Here's the reality. The migrant apprehension numbers are extremely low. I talked to a law enforcement source, Jim, who says that on Sunday, migrant apprehensions were about 1,500. If you compare that to December of 2023, when 10,000 people were crossing the border per day, that just gives you a sense of the dramatic change. The reality is, and I've talked to both people on the ground, agents, and also advocates who work on the border, they say it is very quiet right now, very low, despite what you're hearing from Governor Greg Abbott and the incoming border czar, Tom Homan.
And I will say that's kind of common for Trump supporters or the Republican Party in general. Like, they will talk up a good game regarding anything. Like, it doesn't matter if it's something as small as trans people playing the sports, which is less than 1%, but they will make that into such a big deal that the whole world is talking about this. Like critical race theory, which I'm in the process of reading my first book from an actual critical race theorist. But no one is learning this in high school. No one is damn sure ain't learning this in middle school or elementary. So like, why would the Republican Party take something like critical race theory and blow this up into some like phenomenon? Like this is like COVID 2.0. You know, like they are good at doing that. So looking at the immigration and the numbers, they even blew that out of proportion. When it comes to immigration and crime in the U.S., it's extremely low. But they're going to make this into something to where like he said just a few months ago, that Colorado in Aurora is being taken over by immigrants from Venezuela. And I live here. And I don't see, I live in the hood. I don't see this. This is not happening. So once again, you got to take it with a grain of salt. You know, just a grain, just like this. Boom, 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 boom. Of whatever the Republican Party say. I mean, damn, any politician really. But really, like, the Republican Party makes a living, makes a killing over exploding these simple to really no issues. But they use that as campaign fuel. So, hey, that's how we got Trump.
Back to you.
All right, Rosa Flores, important context. Thank you very much.
What do Americans want in terms of what were their top priorities for Trump? This is according to CBS News YouGov poll that came out. Their highest priority is lower prices. 79% of Americans want lower prices. Just 26% say put tariffs on imports. So his strategy here could undercut what voters want him to do.
Sure, but this, threatening tariffs, particularly against Mexico and other Central American countries, was basically the central pillar of his diplomatic approach to migration when it came to this region.
Hey, first off, I got to point out, I know what you guys are thinking, and I got to give a big props. Hey, this right here takes time to do. Okay, this flat top right here, I think it's a flat top. I mean, it might be a more detailed name for that. But hey, that's on point, bro. Hey, I got to give you some props right there. That's on point, and it looked good.
So yes, while those economic concerns are true, the president-elect, he does gravitate towards immigration and migration as his primary issue. This is one of his basically go-to steps when it comes to his approach for these nations. The other thing that's not being talked about as much is sort of Mexico's response to this as well. In order to do many of those ambitious plans that the president-elect has been talking about, sweeping border restrictions, mass deportations, you also need somebody to take in those people that you're reporting, that being the Mexican government. They've been basically a collaborator and one of the prime reasons that the Biden administration has been able to drive down border crossings recently. And today, the Mexican government also issued a response to the president-elect.
Hey, just before you jump in,
Sure.
just to read that response from Claudia Sheinbaum, the Mexican president. She said, President Trump, neither threats nor tariffs will resolve the issue of migration or drug consumption in the United States. Cooperation and shared understanding are required to face these important challenges. Imposing one tariff would mean another comes in response, continuing like this until we put shared companies at risk. A pretty stark warning.
It is a stark warning, and I think that statement comes from a sentiment that I would hear often in Mexico as well while reporting there, and that's that there are officials in the Mexican government that also feel as if they have some leverage, with this new administration. We often talk about this as, the president-elect Trump, issues threat to Mexico and has these immigration demands. Well, Mexico also knows that, the U.S. needs Mexico in terms of many of these plans when it comes to the border. And that was one of the more sort of direct statements I've heard. But it was something that I think you often hear privately that's now made its way to the public when it comes
Manu,
to
can I say just a quick word on China? Sure. China is a little bit different than Mexico and Canada. Obviously, those two are the biggest trading partners, they're close allies. But with China, Trump really has used tariffs as a means. He talks about fentanyl quite a bit and kind of uses that as the punitive measure. But really, he's trying to force them into a position where he can get them to negotiate better trade deals. He says that they take advantage of the U.S. And so that's been his tactic all along. And it was very controversial under the first Trump administration. But the Biden administration, when they came in, they did a review and decided not to reverse a lot of those tariffs. And so actually, both parties have come quite a long way since the first Trump administration. When it comes to China in particular, it is much more controversial for countries like Mexico and Canada. But with China, there's a little bit more tolerance from both parties for actions like this. And I think you're going to see that even moving forward.
One thing, though, has been, Trump has had a shifting ideology on a lot of issues over the years, shall we say, to put it mildly, on some issues in particular.
They're going to kind of slightly go into some other conversations. But once again, I think you have to be ready. You better get ready. If you're not ready, then that's going to suck for you. Once again, I don't want to sit here and, wish the worst on people. Like my Christian side of me is not going to allow that, but I'm still human. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I'm still human, and people who voted for Trump and are using the lie, which I say it's a lie, because they care about the economy. And just to hear Trump, even before he got elected, talking about he's going to oppose X amount of % of tariffs on just every country, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, damn, I got a basic understanding of what tariffs are, and I am confused on why people fell for it. I don't understand. And the regular folk, not the millionaires, not the billionaires, because they're going to be straight regardless. They might lose a few $100s, but at the end of the day, that's going to affect regular people like you and me. And if you put him into that office thinking he's going to put you first, you are dumb as hell. Like, you're literally the problem. He had no detailed explanation on how he was going to make the economy great again, which was on his page. Make the economy great again. That was literally the policy. Not detailed, not explaining how he's going to pay for this, or how he's going to get from A to Z. Like, none of that. He just said, make the economy great again. And people said, I'll take that. So you tell me, if you honestly believe that Trump is going to come out of this as the American people are winning on top of this, tell me, by imposing just blanket extra tariffs on countries, how was that going to benefit our economy, and how are we not going to pay for that on the consumer level? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I tried looking for it and I felt stupid Googling that. Like, I don't even know how to ask that without sounding stupid. Like, it just doesn't work like that. You can't put tariffs on countries and think you can use that money for, like, healthcare or something. Like, that's not how that works. So once again, guys, hey, hello, how you doing? Okay, you need to educate yourself. Read some books. Get off TikTok. Hey, TikTok, I mean, it may not be there, but hey, you're going to always have something. But read some things, because there's no money back. There's no guarantee that Trump is going to be an amazing president. You don't get a guarantee on that. There's no buyer's remorse. We got to deal with this for 4 years. And unfortunately, how our government rolls, he can implement some policies that can affect us 4, 8, 12 years from now. I mean, look at Reagan, look at Nixon, and some of the horrendous policies he put in place that affected generations of people. So once again, guys, oh my goodness. Like old boy said, not Stephen Smith. Rod Smith. Yeah, there you go. Rod Smith said, you better stay ready so you don't have to get ready. There you go. That's simple. But once again, if you guys agree or disagree with anything that I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord link so me and you can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.